A dozen people have been killed in what's being called the single deadliest accident on Mount Everest. Nepalese officials say 3 others were seriously injured, while 4 people are reported missing. The avalanche took place just above the base camp, about 6,000 meters up the mountain. A group of about 50 people, mostly Sherpas from Nepal, were preparing the way for the upcoming climbing season when the accident occurred. Well, climber Adrian Bollinger knew some of the men killed in today's avalanche. He joins us now via Skype from Squaw Valley, California. Adrian, thanks so much for your time. I know you knew some of the guys who lost their lives, so our sympathies to you and to the climbing community. What have you been able to learn about what exactly happened?
So details are still coming out from the mountain, of course. It's been a complicated situation. But what we do know is during that common time in the morning when Sherpa are carrying loads up the mountain, between base camp and Camp 1, there was a major avalanche off the west shoulder of Mount Everest. And that part of the mountain sort of sits above the climbing route. And so a number of people on the route itself were hit by that avalanche when it came down into the icefall zone.
Now, I know you've climbed Everest, so tell us a little bit more about the location of this accident. As we said, it's between base camp and phase 1, Camp 1. Talk to us a little bit about the terrain, what we're looking at here.
Yeah, it's actually, in many ways, it's the most difficult and most dangerous part of the entire climb. Even though it's quite low relatively, you're climbing from about 17,500 feet to about 20,000 feet. This section is where the mountain is the glacier is crushed in between 2 big mountains, Everest and Nuptse. And when it gets crushed between those 2 mountains, it moves more quickly. So the ice is really broken. You're crossing ladders. You're using a lot of ropes to get over this difficult terrain. And at the same time, there's constantly these big ice cliffs and snow slopes hanging above you, which periodically release.
And as I said earlier, you knew some of the men who tragically lost their lives. It's my understanding that these were very experienced climbers. Just tell us a little bit more about these individuals, these friends of yours.
Absolutely. So it's a relatively small climbing community that every year comes in the spring to work on Mount Everest and to attempt to summit the mountain and bring others to the summit as well. Like you said, the Sherpa who work on Mount Everest, they're the best of the best. They're some of the strongest climbers in the world. They've dedicated a lot of their lives to training and strength in this type of environment. At the same time, of course, they and we all understand it's still the big mountains, and there is still a lot of danger anytime we go out and climb in these areas. This specific zone is an area where we all know there's a lot of risk, but of course we hope that there would never be a major accident like this.